Welcome to the No Dick Pics podcast with Max and Christina. I'm Christina.
I'm Max.
Hi, Max. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
Good. It's our very first episode.
I know. I'm kind of nervous and excited at the same time.
All right. So let's introduce ourselves. You can go first.
My name is Max Grabby. I'm 47 years old. I have 2 kids, and I've been divorced for 4 years. And life is looking good.
Looking pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm Christina. I'm 41. I am very close to being divorced. And I have 2 kids as well. Life is also looking good. So what made you want to start a podcast?
I think that at first it was definitely like a pickup line for people, telling people like I want to do a podcast. But I realized like going through this shit show of dating in the 2000s and on, I was just thinking like, what if like I would have heard something like this when I first started dating? Because I don't think people realize it's a complete shit show. They just think it's themselves. But I think hearing other people doing it and the stuff they go through and the perspectives, I think that would have helped people, especially kind of our situation where I've been in it for about 4 years and you're just a beginner. Mm-hmm. And so you can kind of see the different perspectives. But I want people to realize like it's not them. It is just crazy out there. And it's, like I said, at the end of the day, it's not the dating apps, it's the people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so this whole podcast was Max's idea, and that's the only reason it's called the No Dick Pics podcast with Max and Christina, and not Christina and Max. You take credit. But yeah, it's crazy. I only did it, like I've only been in it for a few months, and I could literally write a book, but it's funny because every girl says that. Every girl says, I could write a book on my experiences. And I think it's true. We could all write bestsellers. My friends call it the Christina Chronicles.
Yeah, it's something I wasn't ready for because I think a lot of us that are, getting divorced now or a few years back, last time we dated, it wasn't an online presence with dating. I think at that time you had maybe like Yahoo had something.
Yahoo.
And maybe something else. Like I was watching that documentary about Ashley Madison. A lot of people aren't familiar with that. Ashley Madison was like if you wanted a discreet, affair, you would go through Ashley Madison, and it was pretty interesting. I mean, but yeah, it was a different life. And so when I was getting ready to get divorced, a couple people at work's like, well, you got to go online. I'm like, well, no, what about going to a bar? Like, no, 20-year-olds like go to a bar. So you realize there wasn't really an avenue to go to anymore. Like, so you had to go online, and I think you figure it's an easier way to meet people because you kind of get the first impression out of the way. But then you realize, people are just, like, they're interested in you one day and then you don't hear from them the next. Or if you're trying to figure out if this is a real person or this is a robot or a bot. If this person, actually, and it's scary. But unfortunately, I've gotten really good at it. Like, I can really spot out a scam, like, from the beginning. Sometimes you do still get kind of suckered in, but you have a good idea. Like if you ask for specifics and they don't want to give you specifics, like,
yeah,
hey, where are you? Oh, I live north side of Chicago. Okay, what's the north side? Just the north side. They won't give you specific, like, where do you live? What favorite places do you like to eat? So yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and I think again, like I've been talking to friends, and they kind of lived through my dating in the beginning. I have friends that I go visit. And they definitely love to hear my stories. And every year they get, like, better and better, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And then you also question yourself because at times you're like, maybe it's me. But then when you talk to other people, you're like, nope, it's not me. And at times I'm sure, it is me, because there's things that work and things that don't. And then you realize, like, people really don't know what they want. And that's the biggest issue.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I've experienced that. I've experienced that with pretty much everything that's become what could be a relationship. It's ended up being that they don't know what they want.
Right.
And I figured, dating an older guy, he knows what he wants. Absolutely not. So age doesn't matter.
Right. Age doesn't matter. Profession doesn't matter. You know,
Nope.
obviously, after the divorce, I was going to therapy, but not as much. And then I found a new therapist a couple years ago, and it was like, well, maybe I need to date a parent, maybe a non-parent, and it was always back and forth because it was like there was advantages and disadvantages. Obviously, like if you date another person, another parent, they understand what you're going through. If you date a non-parent, they kind of don't see it. But like I said, stuff comes up all the time with that, you know. Then about a year or two into dating, I realized like I'm not driving to the city every night to see this person. So then my mileage kind of like went down. So it was like between, 20 miles is perfect, 20, 25 miles. Even though you meet someone from the city, you're just like, oh, I don't want to do this. But, just different situations arise and you just kind of go with it. And you learn who you are too. I mean, I've been in relationships where I'm just like, why was I even in that?
Yeah.
Like I look at myself like, what was I doing? But you learn about yourself, you grow with yourself, and then you start realizing what's really important and what's not, just the chemistry, because, obviously, people are attracted to being attractive, but I think there's also a connection. So, there's been some relationships where I did it just purely based off of looks, and it actually absolutely burned me. And then I've done where I didn't go into the looks and just like kind of an understanding, and it still burns me. So
yeah,
you learn. Win. Yeah, you learn. I mean, and you just kind of got to battle, and sometimes you have to take a break because the apps are very addictive, and you have to and they're very toxic.
That's true. And that's the thing. Like, I don't think I realized going into it is how addictive apps are. And the fact that you have so many options. So you're like, I'm not feeling this one. I can go shopping and go through, a bunch of other people and see if I find someone better. And I think that's where that toxic thing comes from, where, you make a connection with someone, they're like, well, can I find someone better? And so, nothing is lasting. Everything seems so short-lived because there's always something better around the corner.
Right. And you can tell when someone's into you, and then 2 days later, they just stop talking to you. It's like, all right, they're talking to someone else. Mm-hmm. And then you have the people that like to date multiple people, and then there's the people that want to date just one person at a time, and mm-hmm. And then someone has a bad relationship, and they kind of don't take it out on you, but anything that reminds them of that, then they get scared about that too, and it's tough. It's like you just have to find. I think I've realized that you have to find. Everyone has issues. You're gonna find that you have to find someone that has similar issues to you, and you both want to grow and try something, but some people aren't ready. There's times in, the 4 years that I knew I wasn't ready, and what I was dating for, I don't know. I think I was dating just not to be lonely and not to go back on the apps, but then you look back and you're just like, no, that's not how you should, live your life. So you find out a lot about yourself, and I still think people are settling. Even though after you get out of a bad marriage, and then they're settling again, and not that everyone's past is different. Obviously, the more we'll talk about relationships and marriages, my divorce was very simple, very easy. We're very civil. Our families still get together, and that a lot of people
very unique.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't like that, but it's just it's the way it is, and it's the best for co-parenting. But some people don't like that, and then other divorces are rougher. And if you have a rough divorce or a divorce that was just absolutely brutal, they're going to compare that. That's how every divorce is, and they don't believe that you should be civil with your ex-wife. But so you find a lot of things out there.
Yeah, I think just divorce in general is tricky because everyone's marriage is different and every ending is different. And so people can assume one thing, oh, you're divorced, so this happened. It's maybe not. Everyone's different. Everyone's situation's different. Everyone's at a different place. So for me, I think a lot of people are afraid because I am not actually officially divorced. I'm very close. So close. But I'm not actually divorced yet. And so I think when people date me, they're like, oh, she's not ready. But I'm in a different headspace. And I'm not going to get too into details about my marriage or anything. I'm not going to talk about him. But I've been in a different place than most people at this point in their divorce. I'm know what I want. I know who I am. And also I'm having fun. So, I mean, that's part of it. It's just like to find yourself and figure out what you want and who you are. And I'm having a good time doing it.
And then one of the things is too, your kids are older.
Yeah.
So that's a different. My kids were, I think, what was it? They would have been like 6 or 7. So it was different too. And then it was also during, like, it was right at COVID. So that was another tricky hurdle. But it was, and that's the thing. It's like sometimes you meet people, but their kids are older and they don't want to have to deal with someone with, younger kids. And you find that, you find that, see what's going to fit, what's not. I mean, like I said, when I'm on a dating app, I come out right away and say, I'm done with kids.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if I want to get married. And that's still something where I think if the right person came along, it was important to them. But like right now, in my mindset, like I don't think I'm going to get married again, but things can change. But I like to, come out with that because in the beginning, I was talking to people and then, we'd go on a couple dates and then all of a sudden this would come out that, oh, she still wants to have a kid. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not, that's not for me. So, but some people are different. And I've, I also learned that you can't assume because I'm thinking, oh, hey, this person's like, 43, 44. She's probably done with having kids and nope, they still want to have them, which is, great for them. But that's not, so the kid thing was a big thing.
Yeah.
You just have to, I think what I realize is people don't know how to communicate. I always say people people have to learn how to communicate, and communication is a lost art. Even though everyone says that on their dating profile, oh, I want to be able to talk, I want to have the communication, but talking is not communication. Communicating is actually talking about your feelings, and a lot of people don't like to do that, especially early on. Yeah. And I learned that quickly too. So it's one of those where I just, like I said, I think I piggyback going back, like why I started this podcast is if there was something out there that I could listen to that I was like, wow, that's going on too. And I think a lot of people know that this kind of behavior is going on. And, and some people are just serial daters. Some people just enjoy the chase, and just some people just, are there to, to just kind of make friends. But you've kind of got to each person has their own niche. Like, one person might like, hey, I like this dating app better than this dating app, or this dating app better than this dating app. Some dating apps get a really bad rap, but then my experience on them, it wasn't that bad. So it's...
What was your favorite?
I think Hinge is my favorite. I think the most normal people, and that's very, I guess, most normal out of the dating apps is kind of, is Hinge. I understood Bumble for people. I understood... Tinder was pretty interesting because I heard the horror stories with Tinder, but I actually met some really good people on Tinder, and then obviously Match here and there. But
do you think that? Did you do any free ones?
I did the free Hinge.
Okay, so I got no traction on Hinge. Every other app, I got tons of responses. Hinge, I didn't get much at all. But everyone's experience is different. But there was a point where my friends are like, you need to do a paid one because you're going to get more quality people because they're more serious about dating if they're actually willing to pay for that app. I don't know how true that is. I will say I've met more quality people on the pay apps.
Yeah.
But I have met the most people on Facebook Dating, which is free. Also full of scam. There's just so many fake people on there. But I've met the most people through Facebook Dating, which is crazy.
I think a lot of them make you have to pay because they show you your matches and then you can't talk to them, so you want to be able to talk to them. And
yeah.
No, I mean it's all right. I just think for me after about 4 or 5 months, I would just take a break for about a month or two if the summer hits. And that's one of the things that we'll talk later is I feel like I'm a summer dater because when my kids are in school with their activities and my work, I literally don't have much time during the school year.
Hibernating for dating.
Right. So, and then come summertime, I have more time, and that's when I usually end up dating. And then it's funny because then it usually ends right around when school starts. So I don't know if it's a mentality in my mind, all right, I can't do this anymore. But usually, some ended very poorly. Some ended in heartbreak, and some just ended because they needed to be ended, and that's it. So it's been, and like I said, we'll get into more stories later. Probably not going to use names, but we can just use examples.
We can use nicknames.
Yeah, we can do
I have
nicknames.
so many nicknames. Every guy has a nickname, and I think that's a girl thing too. Do guys not do that? You don't give people nicknames?
No.
Oh, so yeah, all of the guys have
So if
nicknames.
I met someone on Bumble, I would have their name, and then I would put Bumble as their last name. So I, because, yeah. I mean, my goal, like how I was at times I was forward because I think the point of me was I want to get off this dating app and just start talking. I love talking over the phone, but a lot of people don't. I don't like small talk with like the texting and stuff. Texting is nice in the beginning, but it gets kind of...
Yeah, that's going to be a topic for another episode is pen pals, because that's the fucking worst. Like,
Yeah.
just chatting. So today's topic is dick pics, because that is the name of our podcast. And I want to give Lynn credit for coming up with the name of our podcast. We were trying to come up with something clever, and she just texted me, no dick pics. And I'm like, the person I was dating at the time hadn't sent me any. I'm like, I don't have any from him. And she's like, no. That's the name of the podcast. And I was like, oh my God, that's genius. So I sent it to Max and he loved it. So we are the No Dick Pics podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks to Lynn. So shout out to Lynn. But what are your thoughts on dick pics
So
as a guy?
I thought because I was older, maybe it was the younger crowd. So I've never done dick pics. I just never understood the point to it. I understand why people want to do it. So I always thought it was like younger kids.
Nope.
But the more I hear, like men even older than me were sending them too. So I don't get it. But hey, if it's for, it's not for everybody. It's not your cup of tea. I just never understood it. I mean, I'm still weird. Like, I won't click on someone if they have a picture of their kids on a dating app.
Yeah.
Because I think that's weird too. So
Yeah.
Or you're in a group and I keep trying to find like
You
who
don't
am
know
I?
which one
who
you
am
are.
I? Yeah, which one are you? But I don't know. I think dick pics are just, I don't know. They're not for me. But I understand why people send them. But I look at it like this. Okay, I send you a dick pic, and then where does that pic end up going?
Right.
Right. If I'm applying for a CFO job, and all of a sudden there's a website and it shows a pic, so that's how I feel. I feel like
Max.
right. I mean, if I send you a photo of me, that's fine. But yeah, but I know they're out there and people.
Oh, they're out there. And so for me, it's really more the unsolicited dick pic, which, to be fair, I'm never going to ask for dick pics. Some girls might. I don't know. But I've never asked for one. I've received many. And all of them were unsolicited. Not all of them. A couple of them were like, do you want to see? And I'm like, I don't want to be like, no. I'm like, okay.
But I hear from most women that they don't like dick pics.
No, we don't want them.
So obviously someone at one point wanted it, and it just became a trend.
I don't know that anyone's ever wanted one, like, been like, ooh, I hope I get an unsolicited dick pic. I think it's more like a guy being like, look, hi, look at me. Seeing if that lands the deal. But I will say, it's a big red flag for me for an unsolicited dick pic. But it hasn't been a deal breaker, because red flags, like, they're there, but that doesn't mean you see them and you listen to them. So I had a guy who sent me an unsolicited dick pic day one, like an hour into chatting. We were talking about puppies. And then bam, dick pic. I'm like, whoa! I kept talking to him for months. So, I mean, it's a red flag, but do we listen to it? No.
Well, everyone has their red flags, certain red flags for others. And my red flags have increased the more I've dated. And I try to find...
Is a dick pic a red flag for you?
Yeah, because if she sent me a dick pic, there's more questions to be answered.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's
But I
my
guess it
stance on
would,
dick
like
pics.
the opposite. I don't think like women just send naked photos.
No. I mean, they're absolutely asked for pretty quickly from some guys. But that's tricky too. Because, like, if you're trying to develop something with someone and you're, trying to be flirty, like, how far do you go before it's like, well, shit, there's naked pictures of me out there and who knows where they are and what they're being used for.
Yeah, that's my ultimate.
Yeah. That's scary.
But people are doing it, and
Yeah. So no hate on the dick pics. There's, if you dig them, cool. But I don't know that, and like, comment on our Instagram or whatever if you disagree, but I don't know that any girl is like, I cannot wait to get an unsolicited dick pic. I don't know anyone who's like, yes, I got one.
Well, I guess if you're both in the same space, like you just want to hook up,
Yeah.
it's like, sure, all right.
It's a nice preview to know what you're getting into. I did get one that was not a great picture, and I was like, I don't know if he thought it was a great picture, but I wasn't excited about it. I mean, I still went out with him, but like, I was like, that's the best you got. So if you're gonna send them and you're gonna take them, take the time to make sure it looks good.
So it's not a red flag, but it's not.
It is a red flag, but I just don't listen to it. There's a lot of red flags I don't listen to. There's an entire person that I'll tell a story about later on that is a walking red flag that I still talk to. So, I mean, yeah, red flags are there, but that doesn't mean you listen. So, yeah, let's get into story time. So every episode we're going to have a story. Sometimes it's going to be from me and Max. Sometimes it's going to be from a guest. So for this episode, we're going to start with Max. You're going to tell us a story.
A story.
Dating story.
A dating story. Let's see. There's so many.
You're not prepared.
I'm not prepared. There's a lot I
have
go
notes
through.
and outline.
Yeah. I'll do one. The one that I always tell people, and like I won't do names, and I talk about this person a lot because I'm kind of confused the relationship I was in. But I always tell this story, and people are just amazed. I met someone a couple summers ago, and I think like we went on 2 dates, and then we decided to go to Mexico for my birthday. And people are like, "What?" And I mean, I remember, even my cousin, she was like, "Just pin yourself so I make sure you get home safely." So we did. I told her like, "Man, I've always wanted to go somewhere fun for my birthday." She's like, we should go to Mexico. And I was like, yeah, so I played along. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then then we're looking at places, and then I'm like, oh my God, like we're going to go. We paid our own way. So we did. We spent like 4 days in Mexico on my birthday, and it was fun. We got to know each other. It was good.
2 weeks in.
Yeah.
Right?
Like I think we only had 2 dates. So it was pretty interesting, but it was fun. But I think that was also bad because that relationship should have ended when I got back from Mexico, but it didn't because I kept having Mexico in the back of my mind, like, oh, but then my therapist was like, well, yeah, Mexico's nice because you're away from everything. You're away from your daily struggles with life, and you're in a tropical paradise. Of course, everything's going to be good. Food is taken care of, drink is taken care of, you're hanging around the pool. But it was funny, and I wouldn't change it for anything because it was a fun trip. We had a blast. But then, there were red flags going off even during that trip. But I just kind of ignored it because I was like, oh, I'm in Mexico. This is great, And she even gave me an out when we got back. Like, hey, if this is not for us, we can just, leave things as we can. And I kind of should have, but I didn't. And so, we came back and things were all right. And then, it got worse and worse and worse. And we finally broke up. But that's kind of like a story I like to tell. And because I get a lot of looks in awe that like only after 2 dates, it's like, yeah, we barely knew each other, but we're like, let's go to Mexico. I mean, it was fun. It was definitely, I was surprised, because usually people say, oh, let's do something, and then it fades out, but she was actually serious. But I think she also liked to travel too, and she wanted to see where it went. But yeah, that's probably one of my favorite stories is, I think it was 2 dates. Yeah, we had 2 dates in.
That's wild.
Yeah.
2 dates. Let's travel. I mean, that's cool. That's awesome. Like, I think I'd probably be down for. I guess it depends on the person. I don't know.
Some people were like, "Ooh, how well do you know her?" I was like, "Well, not that well, but." So yeah, we it was definitely an interesting experience. But like I said, I wouldn't change it because it's I've never done anything spontaneous like that. Like. Taking a trip like that, so it was fun. We had a blast. I mean, it's Mexico. I mean, if you can't have fun in Mexico,
it sounds like a little bit of like The Bachelor, where like there are all these like fantasy dates and they're so amazing, and then you get back into the real world and it's like, oh, well, that's not what it's actually like.
Right.
Like, not every day is paradise and amazing. Of course, you can have a great time in paradise, but can you in real life? Even
in a weekend. I mean, you can just take a weekend trip to Wisconsin in a hotel. And you'll still have fun because you're away from everything. And then when you get back to reality and life and work and the struggles, we came from two different cultures, so that didn't help. And we were, she was probably about 35 minutes away, so that didn't help either. So I guess I went against my mileage. But I realized,
I didn't know you had a mileage limit.
Yeah.
No city girls.
No, it's just tougher. And then I realized then after talking to my therapist and stuff, realizing it just, like she's reminded me to kind of how to look out for toxic people. Not so much they're toxic, but they come from a toxic environment. So if they're not like talking to talking to their mom or dad, or talking to their kids, or anything that just doesn't seem right, to kind of look out for it. So I'm doing a better job of that, making sure and then you just get to know the person too. And when you get to know the person, it's, is it a struggle? Because when I talk about the relationship, I was always walking on eggshells, and that was a no-no. But like I said, I was coming off of a relationship where I literally, for the first time in my life, got my heart ripped out. And so it was almost like a rebound. And so I just didn't want to, I think I was in that point where I didn't want to be alone. So I just kind of made things happen, and, I settled, and I was like, oh, it's fine. It'll get better. Oh, well, it has to get better. There's no way it can get worse. And then it just snowballed and snowballed and snowballed.
I think anytime you're trying to find especially early on, if it's not, early on is when people are giving you the very best version of themselves.
Right.
So if there's already holes in that, and you're like, well, it's got to get better, it's probably not going to.
Yeah, if you're fighting, if you're fighting within the first month, it's not a good sign.
I went on a date with a guy who told me he had dated this woman for 2-3 months, and they were in couples therapy already. And I'm like, when you were only dating for a couple months? He's like, yeah, we jumped into therapy. I'm like, I feel like if it's not the best it's ever been, which is, it should be in the beginning, because that's when everyone's putting on their show, showing their best selves, then it's not going to get better from there. It's just going to get worse.
But you think, but you tell yourself, oh, no, it's going to be different. It's going to be different.
That's wild. I'm so excited to be in this world. All right. So this is the point where sometimes we'll do questions and answers, but because it's our first episode, we don't have any. So we're going to play a game. Are you done with your story?
Yeah, my story I can go on and on, but...
All right. So we're playing a dating game. So I don't... We're going to see how some of these questions go. Here, I'm going to split it in half. Some of these we're probably not going to be able to ask each other, but we're just going to try. I'm going to go first. Oh, this is actually a good question, because I feel like you were actually wondering this. If you were to get a tattoo, what would it be?
So that's for me.
That's for you.
Well, I have a few tattoos. I guess my next tattoo, what would it be? I've kind of been torn on that. So I know one of mine is, if you're a Cub fan out there, they do the W flag. And Pearl Jam has been a integral part of my life probably the last 10 or 15 years, just getting through times and going to see them in concert. And so they released a PJ flag, like the Cubs W flag, but with the letters PJ. So I was thinking about getting something like that. Or people want me to continue the Detroit sports tradition of my tattoos, because my tattoos are the Detroit Tigers logo, a Bad Boys Pistons logo, and I have a giant Wolverine. So I don't know. That's a good question. My daughter wants me to get a tattoo with her name on it with my son, but that's one of those touchy subjects. So I'd probably say another sports tattoo, or probably the Pearl Jam one.
Good answer.
All right.
I'm scared.
If you were a soup, what type of soup would you be?
What? Is that the real question? Wait, that's a dating question? If you were a soup, what kind of soup? Soup? I don't know. I think I'd be... That's a weird question. Ask me a different one. I don't know. There's probably good, like a sexy answer to that, but I don't have it.
All right. What would you call a reality TV show about your life?
It would be the Christina Chronicles. This is the Bachelorette era. So that's the name of my show. It's like Christina Chronicles, or my friend Brie calls it Christina in the City, like Sex in the City, Christina in the City. Yeah, Christina Chronicles, because, my life is fascinating, super entertaining to all my friends. And now you guys.
So what, then with a soup, you'd have to be an intriguing soup with like lots of
What's an
different...
intriguing soup? Soup?
But the different soup with different vegetables and, like minestrone has a lot. It has noodles. It's got vegetables. It's got, I mean, you don't want to be like tomato. This is.
I feel like I would be something like wholesome, but like a little bit spicy. Because I'm a little spicy sometimes.
So maybe a chili.
Oh, maybe. That seems like hearty, though. That seems like, that's like safe, like home. Like
You can get a turkey chili.
True. A little bit of heat. But I'm not like spicy all the time, but I'm a little bit spicy. I got a little kick to me.
My soup would have to have a side of shit show in it, so...
That sounds disgusting. Yeah, but same. All right, let's do another one.
All right.
Tell me about a time you got caught. I don't know what you're getting caught doing, but a time you got caught.
Probably was like talking to multiple people. I'm trying to think like but I've never really gotten caught. I mean, maybe
I was like caught doing what?
I don't know. Maybe caught me in a lie that I would embellish, or I don't know. I've never really had that because like usually my the whole photo thing, like, oh, you look nothing like mine, usually are pretty similar. So I don't know if I've ever been caught. I mean, I was faithful in my marriage, so
I got caught once in a lie, and the guy is still trying to talk to me, which is hilarious. But I had just gone through a breakup that was like shocking to me, and I was like, I'm gonna jump back on the apps like the next day, and I'm gonna go chat with all the guys that were like on my waiting list. And so, because I have a waiting list, but I reached out to one guy who had ghosted me and then came back. And when he came back, I was in a relationship. So I reached out to him again and said, what's up? Let's try this again. He was down. He said he was going to call me that night. I had also met someone that day on an app, was in a long conversation, didn't want to end the call when he called. And so I texted him while he was calling me saying, I'm talking to the guy who broke up with me, which I wasn't. So then he finally calls me a few days later, and I was like, yeah, I still haven't talked to him. And he was like, I thought you were on the phone with him when I was calling. I was like, what?
I'm sure I've been caught. It's not memorable enough.
No.
Yeah.
I got caught red-handed. But he's still trying to talk to me. Christina's the best.
It's the Chronicles.
It's the Chronicles.
Yeah, let's try one. If you could be the CEO of any company, what company would you choose?
What are these questions? The CEO of any company? What's a really successful company that has like good morals? I want like a company that's not destroying the planet.
Or is it something that you like if you're into makeup or you're into...
This is great content. I don't know. It would be something, maybe a successful makeup brand that's also like green, because I care about the planet. That's why I love Zac Efron, because he's beautiful and he cares about the planet. He's trying to save the world, and that's why I love him. So something that has to do with that. Does Zac Efron have a company? I'll be the CEO of that.
I'm sure he's probably got his hands in some companies.
Because I would be the CEO of Zac Efron's production company. There we go. And that way I could hang out with Zac Efron. And then I would marry him.
There you go. You have it all planned out.
There we go. Perfect. All right. Do you want to do this one?
What's something I'm insecure about? Oh, yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. I'll ask it. What's something you're insecure about?
I've always been insecure about my looks.
Yeah?
So, yeah. I don't know if it's...
so cute.
I don't know when it started, but I think a lot of guys are. But, I think also with social media and kind of how it's like warped people's minds, like that's how everyone thinks like that's how they're supposed to look. But yeah, I'm definitely insecure about my looks. And I think I'm not saying all guys are, but a lot of guys do. I mean, if we could have more self-confidence.
Because the guys that aren't insecure about that because they're dicks.
Or they're sending the dick pics.
Yeah, those are really confident guys. Like, look at what I got.
No, because I think you want to live up to a standard. You know, you want to always. It's that first impression. You don't want to ever think like, oh, he looked nothing. You know, because people always ask me, do you smile in any of your pictures? I go, no, I can't smile.
You can smile.
I smile, but like when I'm taking a selfie, I kind of, you know, we have a joke with my family. It's kind of it's part of the family. Like, we all have this weird smile, like this creepy smile. So yeah, no, insecure about my looks, definitely. And I think you know, and I think it's important to talk about it because I think a lot of people are, and they're just, you know, and that's where I think that's where they sometimes come off being kind of a dick in these dating apps because they feel, you know, they feel that's what they have to do to kind of cover it up. But, you know,
that's interesting perspective because I feel like every guy I've met has seemed so confident, but I mean, that's interesting to know that
well, you're confident behind a phone,
right?
But when you go and meet someone for the first time, it's a lot different. That we you know, through my work experience, we used to call them email warriors. They talk the talk, you know, through email, but then when you meet them face to face, they're not the same. And so I think a lot of people are men are told that women don't go after the nice guys, that the nice guys finish last. You kind of be kind of a dick to a woman to get her attention. So, and then it doesn't help, like on Instagram and Facebook, all these people have these like, you know, pay me like $20 and I can teach you like great pickup lines, which is ridiculous.
That's a thing?
No, it's a thing. And I've never paid for it, and so men are kind of taught like you got to be kind of a dick and kind of be cocky because that's what a woman wants. They want to take charge kind of guy, and so that's why I think a lot of guys are kind of dicks when they're on these dating apps because that's what they think the women want. And that's one thing that I've never given into. Like, I'm a nice guy. I'm a sweet guy. I'm a sweet person. I'm not an asshole, and I'm never going to change for anyone. And yeah, you get a little bit more confident when you're not, you know, when you're just talking to the person. Because half the time you're like, am I even going to ever meet this person? So you can kind of like, you know, be a little bit more cockier and kind of outside of your, you know, your normal range. But that's what I think the perception that what guys have to be deals for a lot of the guys being cocky and confident.
That's valid because I'll say, like, if a guy is too nice for me, that's an ick. Like, if a guy's I was talking to a guy who was like the nicest guy ever, and I was really, really into him. And I was talking to my therapist, which if you're not in therapy, everyone can benefit from therapy.
Yes.
But my therapist was like, what do you like about him? And I couldn't answer the question. I was like, I like that he likes me so much. And he was just the nicest guy in the world, but there was no substance there. And he just was like, he was a yes man. He was just excited about everything I was excited about. And there's nothing more to it. And so after a week, I was like, maybe not. So, like, I guess that's not just that he was a nice guy. There just wasn't a lot of substance behind that relationship. But I also was very into a guy who was kind of a dick. And I was kind of into the fact that he was a dick. But I wanted to meet him to see if there was a softer side, which is also a bad, like, that's dumb. like, if I'm already going, man, I hope he's nicer in person. Like, that's probably not great. So that never
That's the things that we don't see it from that perspective, because when you're in the moment, you're just like, oh, you know, ooh, he's cute. Oh, I'm sure he can change. Oh, and you don't know. But that's the thing is why I try to get off the app quickly, and then I try to have a phone conversation, because a phone conversation you can get a lot out of the person. And the people that are like, oh, I'm not good on the phone, or I don't like to talk on the phone, that's usually a red flag for me.
Yeah.
I mean, texting's nice, but you can't feel like how the person's feeling on text. I mean, yeah, you can understand, oh, well, you know, when she sends a text, oh yeah, she seems a little pissed. Like, you can kind of sense it, but I think on the phone it's easier.
Oh yeah, there's so much room for like misinterpretation and like misunderstandings over text, because you don't always know the person's tone behind it. So, like, I love it when a guy's like, let's jump on a FaceTime, let's jump on a call,
right.
let's go meet. Like,
I was in a relationship, and I got in trouble for not liking an Instagram post. And I was like, wait, but I just texted you I liked it. And so, yeah, it became that. You'll hear that story down the line. There's a lot of stories with that. Yes, that's part of the Mexico trip. So
yeah,
just stay tuned.
Oh, can't wait. Well, I think that's it. Like, that's a great first episode.
Yeah.
Look, we did it. It
Yeah.
only took, how many months have we been planning this?
it's like a therapy session.
It is.
I feel like a weight's been
Therapy
lifted off
with
me.
Christina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But therapy is important, and a lot of people aren't in it. And I would always tell people, remember, therapists have therapists. So
Yeah.
and you don't have to. People, it's one of those stigmas where they think like therapy's only if like there's something really messed up with you. Like no, you don't. Like right now, like I don't have a lot of major things going on, but therapy is nice. Now after I had a rough breakup, I was doing therapy like once a week. And then I went to like once every couple weeks. Now it's to a point I'm once about every 3 or 4 weeks, and it's just nice. Nice to go in, talk to her, be able to get some stuff off, and kind of see how things are going.
I think it's important, especially from a guy's perspective, to talk about therapy too, because I think for men in general, there's a stigma around therapy for men and that it's weak and that it's whatever. But every guy I've dated who's been in therapy has been so much more well-adjusted than the guys who clearly aren't in therapy. And they're so much better at communicating, and they're so much better about talking about what they want and who they are. And, it's been better relationships with each guy, with the ones who have actually been in therapy. That is a green flag for me for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, let's do it again.
We'll have to figure out a way to end every show.
I know.
There's got to be like a quote or something, or maybe like a lyric from a song, or I don't know.
We should have planned this.
Yeah. But sometimes you don't need to, and you just gotta do it,
Go with the flow. How do we end it? I'm gonna flag this. Okay.
I don't know how we can end it. Got mine on my money on my mind.
Or something about dick pics. Like,
yeah.
Don't send dick pics. Or I guess that's rude, though, because what if you want to send dick pics? That's fine. Send them if you want. Don't. That's not good. No, we need a good one.
I'll think of it. I don't know.
Okay, so we're going to work on the outro. We're going to have a good one that's going to be every week. Same amazing outro. But for now, we're just going to say thanks for listening.
Yeah, and we'll see you for episode 2.
Bye.